Because of the lifestyle that I lived for so many years, I've approached all different kinds of flavors of women. Whatever flavors you could think of, 9 times out of 10, Freeze done approached them. And there's something interesting that I figured out about approaching average looking women versus super bad looking women. So let's talk about it. But first, wipe your feet off at the door when you step into a pimp's domain. Let's go.
But you want all this pimping you can't afford. Perform like a punk, but wanna win his reward. Some suckers give you points, but bitch, you never scored. If you ain't paying pimping, then bitch, you getting ignored. Okay, I'm so sick of these.
So one thing to keep in mind coming into this discussion is that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So what I find to be average looking versus super bad, you might not, and vice versa. And I'm pretty sure that the vice versa part is definitely true. Whatever you find to be super bad, most likely Freeze don't think she's super bad like that. You know, what you might see to be a dime, Freeze might see a 5, you dig? But nonetheless, whatever you think is a super bad woman versus an average woman, right? A lot of times dudes get intimidated when they see a woman that they think is super attractive. They get intimidated to the point where, you know, she's good enough to admire but not good enough to acquire, or too good to acquire. So, you know, they might sit back and admire, but when it comes to the acquire part, they might be intimidated, too scared to go approach the woman, right? And a lot of times because of fear of rejection. A lot of cats don't want to deal with that rejection, especially from somebody that they, you know, see high in the sky, that they done put on this pedestal that's beyond their reach. And a lot of times you got guys that go for the low-hanging fruit, the chicks that they think are just average looking, that's more within their range. But me, myself, I like to go after the best. So I like to go after the ones that are super attractive, right? And you know what I learned in hollering at the super attractive ones, right? Is that they are the most approachable. They are the most down to earth. They're the most welcoming and coolest. You know, hold good conversations, you know, humble. I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, that chick that you are intimidated to talk to is the best one for you to talk to. And you're gonna be pleasantly surprised at how cool she is, at how funny she is. You seeing this chick, and by the looks of things in your mind, you like, this chick probably ain't never slobbered before. She probably ain't never farted before, any of that type of stuff. But just like you, she a human being. She breathe air and bleed blood just like everybody else. And on the same token, just like everybody else, she has personality. She has sense of humor. And a lot of times, again, those types of chicks are the most approachable. And you know something that I found out about hollering at average looking chicks? A lot of them. Now, of course, this ain't guaranteed. This ain't a surefire thing every single time you holler at an average woman. But what I will say is that the most disrespectful, obnoxious chicks that I've ever talked to were the ones that might be like average looking, might not be a knockout, right? Now, don't get me twisted. Pimpin' don't go out of his way to holler at average looking women. But a lot of times you might see yourself as having action at somebody like that, you know, and they just right there and you like, you know, she might have looked at you or something like that. Oh shit, I seen her looking at me. Let's see what it turned into. A lot of times an average looking chick will look at you, and as I always say, acknowledgement is encouragement. So she's acknowledging you so she can encourage you to come and say something to her. But then when you go say something to her, her attitude is just funky, just stanky. Like you should have smelled her attitude before you even approached her from whatever distance away that you was, because once you get up on her and get to trying to talk to her, her attitude is just ugh. You know, they think so highly of themselves, and a lot of times, you know, that got something that, you know, social media is to blame for that. Social media has made it where, a lot of twos feel like they tens and all this type of shit because of the attention that they get. But yeah, man, a lot of times those be the ones with the worst attitudes, man. That's why it's in your best interest as a man to just go after whatever in your mind is the best to have, the best to talk to, that girl of your dreams or whatever the case may be. Just shoot your shot. And the worst thing that can happen is that she declines you. No, thank you. She rejects you one way or another. And, it's not to say that it ain't no super attractive women that are rude, because they definitely exist too. But what I'm saying from experience is that 9 times out of 10, the super attractive ones got the best attitudes. They the most approachable, right? And a lot of times I believe it has to do with self-esteem. Now, I believe all women suffer from self-esteem issues to some extent. Some women have lower self-esteem than others and vice versa, but I believe they all got some kind of self-esteem issues, or they've at least had self-esteem issues at some point in their lives, because women are emotional and they're overtly critical of themselves. No matter how beautiful everybody else may think they are, they always their own worst critic. So, with this being kept in mind, a lot of times you have attractive women whose self-esteem is intact, and that self-esteem is going to reflect in their behavior. Now, a woman who has a high self-esteem is not going to be so guarded, because she's not worried about somebody hurting her feelings or, disappointing her or something like that, or, being rejected by a guy that she may like, or being dissed by a guy that she may find attractive, or whatever the case. A woman with a high self-esteem, she don't have them kind of worries. It is what it is. And, because her self-esteem is high, she doesn't see any value in disrespecting a man who's trying to holler at her, or, trying to belittle a man that's hollering at her, right? Because her self-esteem is intact, that doesn't do anything for her. Whereas a woman with a lower self-esteem, she needs to disrespect you. She needs, in order to make herself feel more highly of herself, in order to give herself some type of boost. Just imagine, that's why a fly guy ain't got no business. If you fly and feeling yourself as a man, that's why you ain't got no business hollering at anybody average or anything less than what your standard is supposed to be. Because an average looking chick, she might get a self-esteem boost out of dissing somebody that she finds to be highly attractive, especially if that individual is approaching her, right? That's just like prime example, man. True story. A couple days ago, I'm in CVS and I see this woman, and she's attractive. And me, I'm dressed similar to how I am right now. And it was some red flags with this woman, right? And mind you, this was Friday night, as a matter of fact. So pimp suited and booted. It's Friday night. I see this woman at CVS. She's pretty and she's checking me out. But it's a few problems though. First of all, on this Friday night, in this heavily populated area, this woman got pajamas on. Nah. She pretty, but she got pajamas on. And then the biggest red flag is not only did she have pajamas on, but she had the bonnet on as well, right? So, she was checking me out, and she was pretty, but logic just kicked in immediately to a pimp. Like, I had to look at myself like, Like, hold on, pimp, you are way too fly. I wouldn't give a damn if she was Kim Kardashian or Halle Berry. If either one of them, Beyonce, if any of them was outside with a bonnet on and some pajamas and Pippin looking like this, you ain't got no business hollering at nobody like that. I mean, she had, you know what I mean, she had cheeks for days, put a week on it and all that, you know what I mean? Hourglass figure with a face to remember. I mean, this chick was nice looking, man, but her presentation was not up to par. And as I say all the time, the smallest gestures speak volumes about the character of an individual. And she was speaking to me with her appearance that she wasn't very serious about her appearance. Like pimping is out his. So I couldn't do it, man. Pimp could not do it. And had she been bold enough to speak to me like I know she wanted to, because I seen her checking me out, you know, pimping might have had to politely decline. You dig? So, but the moral of the story is, man, don't be afraid to holler at the woman that you want to holler at, because you might be pleasantly surprised at how approachable and just cool she is, right? Within a matter of seconds, y'all might be laughing and joking with each other and just vibing like no other. And you like, damn, this is what I've been missing. You dig? But let that marinate on your mind one time, freezes it. Go ahead, put some of this good old, you see that right there. You know what that is, man. That's that love juice, man. Go ahead, put some of this good old love in your body like so. And of course, as always, long live the incomparable Sinful to Pete. We out.
Let's go. You see, the God anointed game appointed PI since knee high. Knew that God appointed me to be fly. My reply to the blessing, only one decision for me, man. That integrated and demonstrated, it's obligatory. Okay. So begins the story. These blessings I'm not in tune with.
But getting back to this game that I never left.
Baby, yeah, where you been?